A handbag or backpack might still be in great condition, yet a faulty zipper can make using it incredibly inconvenient. The zipper might stick, the teeth might fail to interlock properly, or it might simply pop open right after being zipped up. When faced with this issue, many people immediately think about taking the item to a repair shop or even replacing the entire zipper assembly. But hold on a moment. Today, I'm going to share a few simple tips to help you fix common zipper problems right at home. You don't need any fancy tools. Simply identifying the problem area and making a few minor adjustments is often enough to get the zipper working smoothly again. If you have a handbag or backpack with a broken zipper at home, grab it and give these tips a try along with me. You might find that in just a few minutes, you can get your favorite item back in action without needing a professional repair. The first tip is quite simple. I'll fix the stuck zipper using a very common household item, a lighter. Take a close look at the zipper's edges. After some use, the stitching around the zipper can fray, with tiny threads coming loose and sticking out. It might look insignificant, but when the slider moves over these spots, the threads can get caught inside, causing the zipper to snag or become hard to pull. It can even prevent the teeth on either side from meshing correctly. For my bag, I'll use the lighter to quickly singe off any loose threads and clean up the area. I work on small sections at a time and watch closely, making sure not to hold the flame in one spot for too long, as the heat could burn the fabric, warp the plastic teeth, or damage the bag's surface. If the bag is made of a flammable material, it's safer to use small scissors to trim the loose threads instead. After dealing with the loose threads, I notice the zipper slider is misaligned. If I try to pull it up immediately, the two rows of teeth won't be balanced, making it very likely to misalign further or come apart. So, I don't rush to pull the zipper up. I slowly move the slider all the way to one side, near the starting point of the zipper track. Once it's at the right spot, I hold and adjust the two sides of the zipper so they lie flat and relatively even with each other. You should take a little time with this step. While holding both sides, I check for any twists, kinks, or unevenness where one side might be higher than the other. Once everything is straight and balanced, I slowly pull the slider along the teeth. I pull very slowly at first to observe whether the teeth on each side are meshing correctly. Once I see the zipper is tracking properly, I pull it up and down a few times using moderate force. This allows me to check for any remaining snags and see if the slider moves smoothly along the entire length of the zipper. And as you can see, the results speak for themselves. After trimming away the loose threads and realigning both sides of the zipper from the starting point, the slider moves smoothly, and the teeth mesh correctly again, unlike before, when they would misalign immediately upon pulling. By simply identifying the root cause and making a few patient adjustments, I've managed to salvage a zipper that seemed beyond repair and make it usable again. For the second tip, I'll be fixing a zipper that still opens and closes, but feels heavy and frequently snags when pulled. This time, the material I'll use to lubricate the zipper is Vaseline. Just like in the first tip, I'll use a lighter to quickly singe off any loose threads. I'll treat each spot very briefly, making sure not to let the flame stay in contact with the fabric or the zipper teeth for too long. Once the zipper track is tidy, I'll apply the Vaseline. I take a tiny amount and spread a thin layer along the zipper teeth. You don't need to use too much. Vaseline is quite thick, so applying it too heavily can attract dust and might stain the bag's fabric. The thin layer of Vaseline acts as a lubricant, reducing friction between the slider and the teeth, allowing the slider to move more smoothly. You can see the difference now. Compared to before, the slider moves more smoothly, and the snagging sensation has been significantly reduced. I'll slide it back and forth a few more times to check the entire length of the zipper. So, with just a tiny amount of Vaseline, the zipper's performance has improved noticeably. If your zipper's teeth are intact and it's simply dry or hard to pull, this is a handy trick to try before considering a full zipper replacement. For the third tip, the situation with this zipper is a bit different from the previous two cases. After prolonged use, especially with handbags or backpacks that carry heavy loads and endure significant tension, the stitching securing the zipper tape can stretch, fray, or snap. When this happens, the edge of the zipper tape no longer sits securely against the bag. If you keep trying to use it, the gap can widen, making the zipper increasingly difficult to operate. Before sewing, I'll clean up the area first. Using small scissors, I carefully trim away the old, broken, and frayed threads. Just trim the excess thread. Be careful not to get the scissors too close to the zipper tape or the bag's fabric. I insert the needle through the fabric and use a backstitch to secure the zipper. With this method, each new stitch loops back toward the previous one, creating a continuous line that holds the zipper tape more firmly than isolated, widely spaced stitches would. I slowly sew along the detached section, using my hand to keep the zipper teeth aligned as I go. If I pull the thread too tight, the fabric might bunch up, causing the zipper line to warp and making it hard to slide. Once I reach the end of the detached section, I add a few extra stitches and tie a secure knot so the seam doesn't come undone easily. You can take a closer look at the repair I just made. The zipper tape is now held snugly against the fabric edge, and the stitching looks neat and secure. I give it a gentle tug to check, and the repaired section no longer separates as it did before. So, with just a needle and some thread I had at home, I've successfully re-secured the detached zipper. Now, I'll try zipping it up and down a few times to make sure not only that the stitching is secure, but also that the teeth on both sides mesh correctly and function normally again. For the final tip, I'll address a common issue. The zipper slider moves, but the teeth on either side fail to interlock. As I pull it up, the teeth behind the slider separate, making it nearly impossible to close the bag securely. In my case, the problem is likely that the slider has stretched out after prolonged use. When the slider's opening widens, it no longer presses the teeth together tightly enough. Consequently, even though the slider moves, the teeth behind it keep popping apart. To try and fix this, I'm using a small pair of pliers. I position the pliers on the body of the slider and squeeze very gently, bit by bit. Pay close attention to this step. Do not squeeze hard all at once. If you press too tightly, the slider could deform or clamp down hard on the teeth, making it even harder to operate. I gently squeeze one side, check it, and then adjust the other side to ensure the slider remains balanced. The goal is simply to narrow the slider's opening slightly so it grips the teeth better. Once adjusted, I move the slider all the way to one side, near the zipper's starting point. I use my hands to smooth and align both sides, ensuring they lie straight without twisting, or one side sitting higher than the other. Now, I'll try pulling it again very slowly. If you look right behind the slider, you'll see that as it moves, the teeth are interlocking and sealing together properly. There's no longer a large gap like before. I slide it up and down a few times to test it. Once I'm sure the slider is tracking correctly, I add one small step to make opening and closing smoother. I take a tiny amount of Vaseline, apply a thin layer to the zipper teeth, and slide the zipper back and forth a few times. Vaseline reduces friction, allowing the slider to move more smoothly. If there is any excess Vaseline on the outside, I wipe it off with a cloth to prevent dust and dirt from sticking to it. And here is the final result. The zipper used to come apart as I pulled it, but after making a slight adjustment to the slider and relining the teeth on both sides, it now closes securely and moves smoothly. A quick note: this method using pliers works best when the slider has only slightly loosened and the zipper teeth are still intact. So, that covers the quick tips for fixing common zipper issues right at home. From stuck or stiff zippers to loose stitching or teeth that won't stay closed, there are various solutions you can try before deciding to discard the bag. I hope these tips help you breathe new life into the handbags or backpacks you love. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.